without having the matchups, which is a big caveat, there are 4 teams you should be picking to win the national championship once you get your bracket in hand on Sunday. 4 teams. The Arizona Wildcats are going to be the trendiest pick in America. And frankly, they should be. They joined Duke and Michigan as the 2 high major teams with 2 losses or fewer this season. Everybody else has at least 4. And the Wildcats did this despite playing in arguably the best conference, the Big 12. And in non-conference play, they didn't play cupcakes. Opening night, they played the champs and beat the champs from Florida. They went to Connecticut and beat UConn. They beat Alabama and Birmingham. So their resume, you can't poke any holes through it. Their roster has no holes either. Guards for days, Koa Pete inside, awesome depth, Tommy Lloyd a terrific coach. And tonight, they proved how strong they are with another win against the top 10 team. They played Iowa State. It ended with this shot by the Big 12 Player of the Year, Jaden Bradley.
They're going to play it out. Remember, it's not just the first shot, it's the offensive rebound. Bradley trying to do it himself. Oh. He does! He hit it! They will look at it to make sure that it beat the clock, but Jaden Bradley appears to have won it.
He did. What a game tonight in the Big 12 tournament. So Arizona, one of the teams that you should consider picking to win the national championship. The Florida Gators, they're another one. The hottest team in America. They happen to be the reigning champs. That matters. You got players from that team back on the roster. Thomas Houck and Chinalu and Condon, they're all back from that title team. They've won 12 straight games, including today. They beat Kentucky in back-to-back games. In fact, they've beaten Kentucky 3 times during this 12-game winning streak. They have won the 12 games by an average margin of 20 points per win. So they're not just beating teams. Over a long stretch of time, they're massacring teams. And they are the champs. So Florida, another one you should strongly consider picking. The Houston Cougars, they're back to playing bully ball. They started the season 23-2, but then had an uncharacteristic 3-game losing streak. But context matters. Close games at Iowa State. They should have won that game at Hilton. Then they lost at Allen Fieldhouse on one-day prep. They lost to Arizona at home. There's no shame in losing to them by 7. But since then, they've won 4 in a row, entering tonight's matchup with the Kansas Jayhawks. Got off to such a great start, and whoo! They're up 18 right now on Kansas in the Big 12 semifinals, in the Big 12 tournament. Goodness. Even if they lost this game, we'd view them as being dangerous. But doing this to Darren Peterson in Kansas, that's even more impressive. Their makeup checks all the boxes for a title contending team. Experience. This is a sport that you mostly play in college gyms, but then you graduate to playing in pro arenas in the tournament, and then you play in a football stadium after that. It's what makes college basketball different, unique, if you will, and if you haven't experienced that, that might be tough to handle. Houston was in the Final Four last year. They were in the national championship game, and they got guys back from that team too. Uzan and Tugler and Emmanuel Sharp, and they have a top 5 pick at point guard nonetheless. Guards win in March after all. That instruments it all. Right at the center of it in Kingston Flemings. High-level coaching. Maybe the best coach of the country did not win a national championship yet in Kelvin Sampson. And they play terrific defense that always you want in the month of March. The wild card team that you should consider picking to win the national championship. You might expect, well, Josh, you've talked about Arizona, you talked about Florida, you talked about Houston. Of course, this is where the top 2 betting odd teams are going to be. This is where Duke and Michigan's going to be, right? Wrong. UConn. UConn's the wild card in this. They could prove to be early round frauds. They could lose in round 2. After all, the Big East, bad this year. They've had bad losses last weekend. They had a full week off, played an 11-19 Marquette team. The Big East regular season title on the line, they lost. And Dan Hurley got thrown out of the game. But they could win the whole thing. They have, you could argue, the best coach in the sport in Dan Hurley. They have supremely talented guards with DeMary and Solo Ball. They have a strong big man in Terrace Reed. They check a lot of the boxes you want. Wish that they would defend a little bit better than they do. But supremely talented guards, a great coach. This is a team that has the makings, historically, for what wins in this tournament. So those are the 4 teams that you should consider picking most to win the national championship when you get your bracket on Sunday. When the brackets come out, obviously, opinions can change when we get the matchups. Matchups matter a great deal. But Arizona, Florida, Houston, UConn, those are the teams that check the most boxes. Injuries factor into this as well, obviously, too. With Michigan and Duke, certainly that is the case. But those are the 4.